Yeah, so it's going to be about a 40-minute practice. The light is actually a terrible idea of doing it like that, so I'll change it. So 40 minutes of yoga and then 20 minutes of relaxation. The yoga will also be hopefully very relaxing too. And as I say, it's going to be a bit of a whole body. There's going to be some toes and some legs and some hips and some back and perhaps a little bit of shoulders as well. So let's start lying down, because lying down is the best pose in yoga. It's called Shavasana or corpse pose. So all you have to do is lay on your back. So find yourself relaxing. Find yourself laying down. I'm going to turn my mat slightly side on. Oh, thank you, yeah.
Ribs.
Yeah, I'll just hit mute. And then, no, not chat, no, nope. Oh, bloody hell, I don't know what I'm doing here. And as you begin to relax down, just find your head soft on the mat, on the ground, your shoulders with your palms facing up. Your hips, perhaps your knees can be long, straight out, so your feet are on your heels, or perhaps you want your knees bent up with your knees knocked together. If you have low back problems, low back discomforts, that might be a better place to be. And just begin to feel that breath moving into the back of your nose. Begin to feel every inhale and every exhale. Don't worry about what anything else. All I want you to do is just become aware of what your breath feels like when you breathe in and when you breathe out. Are you aware that you're actually able to breathe in through your nose and out through your nose? Is it easier to breathe through your left or your right nostril? Can you feel the breath as it moves in through your nose, down the back of your throat, down into your ribs? And then which parts of your torso are moving? Is it just your belly lifting and falling? Is your belly lifting as you inhale and then dropping as you exhale? Or is it actually switched and is the opposite happening? Do you find, and hopefully none of you will find this, that as you breathe in, you end up pulling your belly in towards your back, and as you breathe out, you're pushing your belly outwards. Hopefully none of you are doing that. If you are, see me after class. And all I want you to do is just begin to notice how that as you breathe in, slightly slower, slightly more aware of what you're feeling in and around your nose, your face, your throat, your ribs and your belly and your chest. That everything has begun to slow down. Without counting, you don't need to figure out how long either would be. All I want you to do is just notice that your exhale is longer than your inhale. So you're deliberately exhaling beyond where you would normally stop. So it feels like some kind of a challenge. Just going to take another 3 of these breaths. Again, just softening that exhale to be slightly longer than your inhale. Again, if you're not sure if your exhale is longer than your inhale, keep exhaling until you begin to feel it become a challenge. And then observe and notice how easy it is to just relax and receive the breath to be drawn back in. And so from here, we're going to stay on our backs, but we're going to roll over on towards our left side. So you can maybe make your left arm into a bit of a pillow. And you're going to bring your right knee over the top so that it's kind of, you're resting on your instep of your right foot as if you were going to do a spinal twist, but we're not twisting our chest open as yet. Your left foot is still long towards the end of the mat, but you're going to bend that foot up and perhaps you can grab it with your right hand. So left foot to right hand. If you can't reach it, it's not important. You're just going to bend that knee and hold it sort of by just your own strength, by just wherever it wants to sit to, like so. You could perhaps even just grab your trouser leg or your leggings or whatever you might have on. And then over time, we're going to be here for 2 minutes. And as we're here for 2 minutes, over the 2 minutes, if you feel comfortable, if you feel accessible, you could begin to roll your right shoulder down towards the ground, but that's not yet. Because for those of you who are new, some of you will have heard this before. We have some little principles of practice of this style of yin, of this style of yoga, where we're not moving much. The idea is to find a shape and hold it and relax and soften around it. The first principle is to find an edge in which you feel a stress, might feel like a stretch. But the idea being is not to stretch to your deepest expression, not to the deepest, furthest place you can, but find the first edge. And my analogy I like to use for this is like a cliff edge. If you go to the furthest edge, if you go right to the very edge of that cliff, you're probably going to start feeling some strong levels of vertigo, of fear, of anxiety, of falling off the edge. That's not your first edge. That is the furthest edge possible. If you step back, you begin to notice that perhaps even 5, 10, 15 meters before you got near to the very edge, you already begun to feel something. That's your first edge, and that's what we're looking for here, a place in which you can soften and relax and feel your breath. And it can be as soft and gentle as it was at the beginning. We've got 30 seconds left in this pose. From that first edge, that place of a general, gentle stress, we move towards stillness. In stillness, we're going to allow time to do its work. So from here, if you're holding your leg, your foot, you're going to really gently try to relax it. There's no slingshotting. You're just going to softly relax that leg back so it's long. And then you're going to roll yourself back on towards your back. And take a moment, just a kind of odd 15, 20 seconds to relax. It's always nice to feel how your left leg right now feels compared to your right, to tune inwards. We want to find ourselves in a momentary stillness where we're just feeling the rush of blood, of energy running through that left leg that we've just had bent up. And then we make that pillow on our right hand. We cross that left knee over our right, rolling onto the right side of the body. Of course, if you do have a jumper or a pillow, a t-shirt or a strap or anything to hand, that might be a useful thing to help hold your foot. But of course, as with last time, you can just hold your trousers, just keep the knee bent and held there. It's the first edge, not the deepest edge. And as we said, we find that edge and we find stillness as our second little principle. And our third and final principle is then that idea of what we just said, of time and gravity. But if in trying to find stillness, you've realized you've bitten off more than you can chew, you begin to feel super agitated, you're holding your breath, you're not in any way relaxing, you've probably not found your first edge. You've probably just found one 4 or 5 steps too far. So perhaps you need to just release that leg a little bit. Perhaps you just take your left leg, as is the one that's crossed over, back a little bit. That might just help. Just explore around. There's no right shape. It's the one that works within your body and your framework. The opposite might well be that your body does relax as you sit here and you just notice your body surrender. You notice that your left shoulder wants to roll back towards the floor a little bit. Your right leg feels like it wants to pull that foot in towards your bum a bit more. Again, these are not instructions, they're just things you might feel. But your body's softened and surrendered. It's kind of yielded around the shape. Then perhaps you can move a bit deeper. Perhaps you can take that foot a bit further, that leg a bit higher, whatever it might be. Just another 2 breaths here. Final breath. So each breath is turning out to be about 10 seconds in length. And then again, you're very lightly, gently, softly releasing your right leg and rolling down on towards your back. This is our moment. Paul Grilly, who's the kind of literally the founder of Yin Yoga, essentially, he likes to call this the rebound. This is the moment when all of that stress and tension we've just been holding within the body dissolves, and we take a moment to let everything relax, to yield, to surrender, and feel what that feels within our body. So whenever you're ready, in your own time, we're going to make our way up to sit on our bums. And we're going to have our legs out in front of us just for a moment. This first part of this pose is a bit weird. Some people don't like it. You can quite quickly decide whether you want to do it or not. So we're going to bring our legs into this kind of shape, which is called a bound angle or a butterfly. As you can see, it looks like butterfly wings. There's many other words it gets called as well. Cobbler's pose, because this is how they used to cobble shoes. But what we're going to try to do is not worry about having our feet super close towards our crotch. Again, this is just going to make it more challenging for you, and it's going to be a deeper edge. So if you are better at this than I am, and you've got super like legs which like going down to the floor, that might be where you need to be. I don't like it. So what we're going to try and do is, if you can do this with your hands, you can interlink all your fingers. Yeah, you don't need to do that now, but you know what it feels like. You're going to do that with your toes. So you're going to try and curl all your toes around each other. Now you might quickly decide that this is a bloody horrible idea and I'm not going to do that, Wibs. In which case, remember, as always, it is your body and it's your choice and it's your practice. So you can choose not to do that. But it is quite amusing. It is quite a head game to try to get those toes to link together. And then you can perhaps, I like to call this one toe zippers. And so you've kind of zippered your toes together. Potential for foot cramp is pretty high. And once you're there, you're going to begin to fold over your legs. You'll probably notice very quickly your toes will all unping. It doesn't matter. It's not important. It's just a bit of a different way to explore. So we've got 4 minutes in this forward fold. At 2 minutes, we're going to undo our toes if they haven't already unpinged. It's not important. Don't spend your time trying to hold your toes together. If they unping, let them unping. If you sit upright, it will be less of a challenge. If you fold forward over your legs, it will become more of a challenge. So find your edge. Perhaps you've got a toy elephant from your dog's bed toy box that you can place under a knee if that's going to help support your leg. Perhaps it's a pillow, a blanket, a bed sheet, whatever. The other thing you might find is that your head is suddenly very weighty and you don't like your head lolling forward. In which case you could put your elbows on your knees or your shins and hold your head so that your neck isn't holding all of that weight. Find your edge, so how far away from your kind of your crotch your feet are. How much support you have under your knees, how much you hold your head. All of these things affect the stress that we feel. How far forward you try to make yourself go. If you have succeeded in keeping your toes zippered up, then allow them to unzipper now. Then all you're going to find yourself doing is breathing in and breathing out. And breathing out for longer than you breathed in. And again, how do I know? Well, if I just keep breathing out until that feels as if there's zero left in my lungs, then I know that I'm breathing out longer than I'm breathing in. So in this pose, we're allowing our spine to be rounded into this flexion shape. We're allowing our legs to be dropped out to the side. Into the final minute then. 4 minutes fly by. Again, we're using our breath, yes, as a guide to kind of relax us, but we're doing it also as a guide to know whether or not we've gone too far, too deep, too quick. It's the same in every aspect of our life. Our breath becomes our guide. Whether you're walking, running, swimming's a bit more challenging, in all fairness, that's maybe not the best, but pretty much any activity you do in your life, if you can't control your breath, if you've noticed your mouth breathing, perhaps you're holding your breath a lot, perhaps you huff and puff, you're out of breath. All of these signs are that we've kind of gone beyond there can be a time and a place, but we have to start noticing first what pushes us beyond our current kind of capacities, what is stressing us. So slowly begin to roll your way up to a seated position. We're going to stay pretty much like this, but we're going to straighten our legs. And we're just going to find our hands behind our back and just begin to kind of sway your legs around. So slightly different from defining the stillness in that rebound. We're just going to allow a bit of movement. So now we're going to take rather than having the feet together, we're now going to take the legs apart into what we call a straddle pose, because obviously it looks like we're straddling. And perhaps you love a good straddle and you're able to take your legs to 180 degrees and you're able to pancake yourself flat. I am not. I'm going to use my elephant again as a prop. And so you could either have an elephant or something similar, a pillow, and you could place them under your knees. There's a little ball there. And that might just put enough of a bend in your knees to allow you to comfortably fold forward. If you're still struggling, find your feet so they come flat. And then that should allow you to fold between your legs. And of course, if you've got a bad hip and you don't want to take one so far, you could just do one at a time. The other option would be to take your elephant and use it as a head prop. You could also use a pillow or whatever you have to hand, a bolster if you use bolsters. But we're trying to again let our spines deliberately round. We're trying to feel the inside of our thighs, the backs of our thighs. And again, support your head with your hands if that's needed. Grab pillows, cushions, elephants, random dog toys, pile them up under your belly so that your belly and back feel supported. Any and all are options. And so we've got another 2.5 minutes in this straddle. And so again, we move back into that place of observing our breath. The wider we take our legs, the more of a challenge it is. How does that affect our breathing? Does it get a little bit faster, a little bit stronger and deeper? However softly and quietly you were breathing during your Shavasana at the beginning is how quietly and softly you should be able to breathe in any of these poses. Remember that this is not a practice of stretching. This is a practice of applying a gentle, slow stress. you're not quite sure why or how that might work, think about dental orthodontics. If we were to try and stretch those teeth into place, essentially that means wanging them back and forward, your teeth are going to quickly fall out. But we apply some slow, steady, gentle force, a gentle amount of stress, which you don't really notice too much at first. But over time, we can crank it a little bit more and a little bit more. And we move bone within bone. In the same way that we get to stress our bones and our ligaments, the tendons, all of the fascia and the fascicles. All of these tissues which don't necessarily get the kind of exercise they require when we just do our yang practice, do our more vigorous practice. Final 30 seconds then. And then slowly, again, take your time. There's no rush between poses. You can take as long as you want. And any groans and moans is absolutely allowed as well. We're going to bring those feet in. We're just going to try and roll over, and we're going to take a moment of a down dog. So if you're not sure, I'm sure most of you have done a down dog, and if you haven't, just place your hands on the floor, place your feet on the floor, and just find yourself in this little A-frame shape and just move around however, wherever, whatever you want to do. Just pedaling one leg out and the other, shaking your head, getting some cracks out of your back. And then allow your knees to drop down to the floor as we move in towards our Sphinx pose. So from here, we have to lay down on towards our belly, on towards our thighs. And again, if you have low back problems, there's a million reasons potentially why you might. If just lying like this, you're a bit like, oh, I don't really like this, then you can lay completely flat. And it might even be more comfortable to bend one knee up to the side. That might just take some out of your back. If you feel all right, then we're going to aim to start with elbows under shoulders, hands out in front, or hands bent up if you've just had enough of your head hanging heavy. Nice little bit of alliteration for you there. So shut your eyes, and of course, if you like it, and if you're one of those super bendy types, which I am not in these back bend stuffs, then you perhaps might, after the first minute and a half, want to push into your hands and lift up to what we call a seal pose, because you can see this looks a bit like a seal. But of course, that is very much an optional. Exactly, Jackie, clap your hands. So find your eyes closing. Head can loll, or you can hold your head up. Feel the breath. You can take your legs wide, or you can bring your legs close together. Play for these first kind of 10-15 seconds as to what feels right within your body. How you can make this pose as relaxing as possible. And we are deliberately trying to apply a stress into your low back. But if it's pain, then you move away from it. You find a more comfortable place to be. One of those can't think of the word, it's on the tip of my tongue, like recessions, that's the wrong word. Something similar. Move, receipt, no, I don't know, it'll come. Choose an easier option, a more comfortable option. Observe, are you squeezing your bum subconsciously? Can you relax your pelvic floor? Can you relax your buttocks? And remember our tattvas, our little principles of our practice. Find your edge. Hold in stillness. Hold for time. The more we fidget, the more we finagle ourselves around. For one, the more it makes our mind chitter-chatter. It's an easy way to avoid the stillness of our head. Again, anyone who wants to take seal at this point, if that's within your practice, remember the key word there is if. As always, it's your body, your choice, your practice. But also, the more you fidget and finagle and fudge around, the more you're going to have your muscles doing work that we want to kind of switch off. We want the muscles to do less. We want your deeper tissues to feel some ache, some work, feel like they're doing something. Final 30 seconds. Remember your buttocks, are they relaxed? So then surrender down towards your belly. Make a little pillow of your hand and just slide. I'm going to use my right leg, but whichever leg you want, up to your side. So as if you're making this little, whatever it is, shape, little 90-degree leg shape. And just take a moment to relax, just 30 seconds. Final few minutes of our practice, just 90 seconds for each side. We're going to take that leg back down behind us and we're going to come up on towards our elbows again. Hands are going to press into the floor. Some of you know how much I love this one, some of you don't. So we're going to lift our way just up enough that we can take our right hand and place it under our left arm and roll on towards our right shoulder. Now from there, we're going to try and get our chest to lay on top of our right arm. That's it, perfect. Now, this could be where you start. This could be where the boobs get in the way, or this could be where we take our left hand and we try to creep it across out in front. This is quite potentially where we start getting into self-asphyxiation. And then from here, we're going to try potentially to slug some more weight in towards our arms by moving our weight forward. Of course, that's about 6 different parts of the pose. You could have stopped at any of those, and if you just keep going, because I kept saying, more for you. Go back, find the place that is comfortable, where you have an edge. A minute here in this arm pigeon. It's a lovely little stretch into the outside of the shoulder. If you're fortunate enough, you have a big nose like me, perhaps you can rest it on the floor to support your head. If not, fear not, you've only got 30 seconds to go. And how much can you relax? Final breath. So from here, you're going to have to try to roll back towards your right shoulder to release your left arm. And support yourself to be able to lift your right arm out. And then you push into your right arm, and your palm on your left hand is facing up. And you lay on your left shoulder. And once you're there, you're right. You can either just lay, so then you close your chest onto your arm, and that could be your space to stop. Or you bring your right hand over in front. And then again, perhaps you push your toes into the floor, and this looks better from the side. But you could slug your bum into the air and then roll forward, so there's more weight in your arms. Again, being perhaps a B cup at best. I don't have the issues with breasts getting in the way, but again, always a lesson not to let the ego push you where your body can't go. And so we have a minute, final minute of stress to the body. Final 25 seconds. And so again, if you did manage to slug your way forward, you're just going to try to move and wriggle backwards enough that you could roll onto your left arm, push your right hand out, and then you're going to roll straight down on towards your back. And just take a moment of what we call pandiculation, which basically just means morning yawning, stretching things. So imagine you've just woken up, you kind of go, and perhaps it doesn't even make you yawn. And you're just going to move your body instinctively wherever it wants to. And whenever you find your moment, you're going to let yourself just completely let go. Back to the same place you started. Maybe you still want those knees bent up. Maybe not. If so, perhaps you've got pillows and blankets and duvets and bolsters that you can place under your knees to support you. Perhaps you want a blanket lightly tossed over you. Perhaps you want eye pillows or anything that you might have to make yourself feel comfortable. We move in towards our practice. Perhaps not a true yoga nidra again tonight. It's actually going to be slightly more of a Chitakasha meditation. We do find many of the same benefits. So find yourself relaxing. Perhaps once you take the next 30 seconds to a minute to fully let go, to fully relax, to find the comfort of your clothes not being rocked up under your back or your legs, your socks feeling comfy. And so we lie down in our Shavasana, in our corpse pose, in this Shavasana. dead man / woman's pose, the place in which we all eventually find ourselves. Lying down on the floor with the head comfortably grounded. Close your eyes and try to maintain complete physical immobility. Again, taking these last couple of moments for any fidgets so that you don't have to move for the next 20 minutes. The most important parts of a meditation practice is to find yourself comfortable, adjusting yourself so that you do not be disturbed by your outer surroundings. And once we're comfortable, becoming quiet physically. Throughout the practice, be sure that you are not sleeping, that you are awake throughout. Concentrating on the physical body, awareness of your whole body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Not concentrating on any particular part, but on the whole body. The whole body from the tips of your toes to the tops of your head. Awareness of the whole body. Is not only awareness of the head or the arms or the feet or the back or just your fingers. So homogeneous awareness, which includes the whole body in one glimpse. When you concentrate on the whole body, you have to go on suggesting to yourself the whole body, awareness of the whole body, of the whole body. At the same time, be aware that you are lying on the floor. Concentration on the physical body, and also concentration on the physical immobility, side by side. If by chance you happen to make any physical movement, you should become aware of that movement. It should not be an unconscious movement. Trying your level best not to move the body even slightly. This is our first lesson in the inner yogas. Is immaterial if you are unable to concentrate your mind, but it is of the utmost importance that you're aware of the whole body and that the body does not make the slightest of movements. When you concentrate on the whole body and you keep your body motionless, there is an experience of levitation. The experience should be as though the body is becoming detached from the floor. Not physically, not really moving away from the floor, but a light astral type feeling. Not worrying about concentrating on your mind or anything else, just awareness of the body. As we said, the most important and basic part of our meditation. Everybody has an unconscious habit of moving the body without knowing it. But that should be controlled with conscious motivation. The unconscious movement of the body, the unconscious movement of fingers and toes, of head and eyes, should all be controlled with conscious awareness. When you are able to concentrate on the whole body, then you experience the whole body as if it were a statue. When you control your physical movements, you control a portion of your brain and a portion of your mind. You want to make a movement, but then you become aware, become conscious of this, and you say to yourself, no movement. When you concentrate on the whole body, and when you remain conscious of each and every physical movement that is about to take place of the body, then the body becomes like a statue, and consciousness changes. When you concentrate on the whole body, consciously controlling each and every physical and nervous movement, a relaxed attitude happens in the brain. Become conscious of one fact. I am immobile, and I am not moving. Not even making the slightest of movements of the eyes, the nose, the lips, toes, or anywhere else. Controlling that impulse. It's easy for you to remain conscious throughout. This is the most important basic practice in yoga. Before you control your mind, first we control the body. Before we can concentrate on the subtle things, first we concentrate on the gross things. Now moving slightly away to the subtler aspect in the body of the breath. Concentrate on your natural breath as it flows in and out through the nostrils. When you concentrate on your breath, say to yourself, I am breathing in. As you breathe out, I am breathing out. Concentrate on your own natural breath. The breath is effortless. It is your natural breath. When you breathe in, know you are breathing in. When you breathe out, know you are breathing out. Do not breathe unconsciously. Maintain constant awareness of the process of breathing. Every time you breathe in and breathe out, be aware that you're breathing in and breathing out. Say to yourself, I am aware, I'm breathing in and breathing out. an unbroken, unceasing awareness of the breathing process. The breath enters through both nostrils, becomes one around the eyebrow center. The breath forms a triangle, both nostrils and the top of the nose at the eyebrow center. The breath goes in through the nostrils and out through the nostrils in the form of the triangle. Practice awareness of the passage of the breath through the nostrils to that eyebrow center. Constant and unbroken awareness of the breath is being formed in the shape of a triangle. Again, finally concentrate on the breath. Say to yourself, I'm aware I'm breathing in. I'm aware I'm breathing out. Bring yourself closer to your breath. And then withdraw your mind and concentrate on the forehead, as if from inside, as though you're looking at the inner side of your forehead. The whole of the skull is like a room. The forehead is the front. You're trying to see the inner wall, the inside of that front wall. When you concentrate on inside of the wall of the forehead, become aware of the inner space or the inner sky, that dark space we call the Chirakasha. Awareness of this inner space should be completely relaxed. Again, the skull is like a room, like a house. The forehead, the front wall. The right temple, the right wall. The left temple, the left wall. The back of the head, the back wall. And the top of the head, the ceiling. Now take your mind to the right side and to the left side, to the back wall and to the ceiling. Become aware of the space from inside, as though you were sitting in that room and seeing all four walls around you, the ceiling above you, the front, the back, the left and the right side, and the ceiling. Again, one last time, picturing yourself in that room of your skull, seeing the front of the wall at your third eye, the back wall, the back of your skull, the left wall at the left temple, the right wall at the right temple, and the ceiling above. Then moving from these inner walls and ceilings to the walls and ceilings around your whole body. Become aware of the whole space around you. Floor, ceiling, four walls, dogs, cats, Christmas trees. Become aware of the whole space within you and without you. Develop awareness of the physical body And again, one last time, become aware of your breathing. Become aware of your surroundings. Slowly, in your own time, find your fingers and your toes beginning to gently wriggle, to gently shake, to gently draw those arms over your head and stretch as long as you possibly can. And then to perhaps draw those knees up in towards your chest and giving them a big hug and a big squeeze. And we're going to roll and loll on towards our left side of our body, staying in that simple little shape. And then in your own time, make your way up to a nice, comfortable seated position. Keeping the eyes closed as you do. Crown is going to lift tall, spine grows long. Take a moment if you need to, just to roll and shake your shoulders and neck out, and then find the hands rising in prayer up to the third eye, the spot between our eyebrows. Gently folding forward down over our legs. Lokah Samasta Sukhina Bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. Thank you all for joining me.